The Loyal Dog and the Forgotten Feast. Once upon a time, in a small, peaceful village nestled in the hills, there lived a man named Rafiq and his loyal dog, Bruno. Rafiq was a kind-hearted farmer who spent his days tending to his fields, while Bruno, a strong and energetic German shepherd, was always by his side. Bruno had been with Rafiq for years, growing from a playful pup into a loyal companion. Rafiq and Bruno shared everything: their home, their joys, and their struggles. But there was one thing Bruno loved above all else: food. The mere sound of the pot lid being lifted or the smell of Rafiq's delicious cooking made Bruno wag his tail with uncontrollable excitement. A special occasion. One day, Rafiq received great news. His crops had yielded a bountiful harvest, and the village chief invited him to a celebration dinner to honor his hard work. Overjoyed, Rafiq decided to prepare a special feast for himself and Bruno before heading to the event. Rafiq cooked a savory lamb stew, rich with spices, and a pot of fluffy, golden rice. For Bruno, he prepared a separate dish of boiled chicken and vegetables, knowing how much his dog loved the treat. As the dishes were almost ready, Rafiq realized he was running late for the village celebration. In his hurry, he left the stew and chicken on the counter, promising himself to feed Bruno as soon as he returned. "Stay here, Bruno. Guard the house," Rafiq said, patting Bruno's head before leaving. The temptation. Bruno, ever the loyal dog, sat by the door, watching Rafiq disappear down the dirt road. But soon, the rich aroma of the stew began to waft through the air, filling the small house with an irresistible scent. Bruno's ears perked up, and his nose twitched. The pot of stew was sitting right there on the counter, its lid slightly ajar. Beside it was the bowl of chicken, perfectly cooked and seasoned just the way Bruno liked it. Bruno's stomach growled loudly. For a moment, Bruno stood conflicted. He had been trained never to touch food without permission. But the smell was so enticing, and Rafiq was nowhere in sight. Surely, one little bite wouldn't hurt, Bruno thought. A test of loyalty. Bruno took a cautious step toward the counter. His heart raced as he leaned in closer, his nose almost touching the edge of the pot. But just as he was about to give in to temptation, a memory flashed through his mind: Rafiq, patting his head with a proud smile, saying, "Good boy, Bruno. You're the most obedient dog I know." Bruno pulled back. His loyalty to Rafiq was stronger than his hunger. Determined to resist, he lay down on the floor, far from the tempting food, and closed his eyes, trying to ignore the growling of his stomach. The return. Hours passed, and Rafiq finally returned, his face glowing with happiness. He called out, "Bruno! I'm back!" Bruno barked excitedly, wagging his tail as he ran to greet his owner. When Rafiq entered the house, he was astonished to find everything exactly as he had left it. The pot of stew was untouched, and the bowl of chicken was still full. Rafiq knelt down and hugged Bruno tightly. "You're such a good boy, Bruno. I knew I could trust you." Rafiq immediately served Bruno his chicken and vegetables, watching with a smile as Bruno devoured the meal with joy. Then, Rafiq sat down to enjoy his own dinner, grateful for the bond he shared with his loyal friend. The lesson. From that day on, Rafiq told everyone in the village about Bruno's unwavering loyalty. "He's not just a dog," Rafiq would say. "He's family." Bruno, too, seemed to understand that his loyalty had brought him closer to Rafiq. And though the tempting aroma of food would test him again in the future, Bruno always chose loyalty over his own desires. For in his heart, he knew that the love and trust between him and Rafiq were worth more than any meal. And so, Rafiq and Bruno lived happily, their bond growing stronger with each passing day, teaching everyone around them the true meaning of loyalty and love.